My beloved child, the next hours are not ordinary. They may look like every other stretch of time you have lived through, but I tell you now, they are not the same. Something is shifting beneath the surface of your life. Something is aligning in ways you cannot yet see. Heaven is leaning close, and I am calling your name with tenderness and urgency. I do not speak to frighten you. I speak to awaken you. You have felt it, haven't you? That quiet stirring in your chest. That unexplainable sense that something is about to change. You tried to ignore it. You tried to bury it under routine, under distractions, under noise. But still it lingers. That is not anxiety, my child. That is anticipation. That is the sound of destiny knocking gently at your door. The next hours carry weight. They carry opportunity. They carry decisions that may seem small, but are not small at all. A word you choose to speak. A call you choose to answer. A step you choose to take or not take. These moments are threads, and they are being woven into a greater tapestry than you can imagine. I see the full design, even when you see only loose strands. Heaven demands your ear not because I am distant, but because I am near. When a father sees his child approaching a turning point, he does not remain silent. He draws closer. He softens his voice. He says, "Listen carefully now. That is what I am doing with you. I am not shouting. I am inviting. You have walked through confusion. You have endured delays that made you question your path. You have whispered prayers at night when no one else heard you. Do you think I was absent in those moments? No, my beloved. I was shaping you. I was strengthening you. I was preparing you for this very window of time. There are hours in a life that pass like drifting clouds. And then there are hours that divide seasons. The next hours are a dividing line. Not of loss, but of transformation. Not of fear, but of alignment. What felt stuck will begin to loosen. What felt hidden will begin to surface. What felt uncertain will begin to clarify. But you must quiet your heart. You must lean in. I'm asking for your attention because distraction is the only thing that can blur what I am revealing. Turn down the noise. Step away from the voices that pull you in 100 directions. Come closer to me. My beloved child, this is not coincidence. You are hearing these words because I desire your focus now. The atmosphere around you is shifting. Doors are positioning themselves. Paths are becoming visible. And I, your Father, am guiding you through it. The next hours change everything, not by chaos, but by my careful hand. To listen. Stay near. Let your heart be steady. I am speaking, and heaven is watching with love. My beloved child, listen closely to me now. Some hours carry more destiny than entire years. There are long stretches of life that feel ordinary, repetitive, almost invisible. Days pass. Weeks pass. You wait or you worry, you worried, you rest. Nothing seems to shift. And then there are sacred windows of time when eternity presses into a single afternoon. When unseen realms lean forward. When decisions that look small echo louder than you realize. You are standing in such a window now. This is not exaggeration. This is not drama. This is divine timing. You did not wander into this hour by accident. I have been guiding your steps with care, even when you believed you were simply reacting to circumstances. The disappointments you endured were not meaningless. The delays that tested your patience were not punishments. The closed doors that confuse you were not rejections of your worth. They were adjustments. They were protection. They were preparation. You have asked me in quiet moments, Why does it feel like I am waiting again? Why does it feel like something is about to happen, yet I cannot see it? My beloved, that feeling is not your imagination. It is awareness. Your spirit senses movement before your eyes can confirm it. Consider the dawn. Before the sun breaks the horizon, there is a subtle shift. The air feels different. The darkness softens. The birds stir before the light is visible. In the same way, your heart has been stirring because light is approaching. The next hours are like that fragile line between night and morning. What seemed hidden is about to become clear. I have seen your private battles. I have seen the courage it took for you to keep going when you felt unnoticed. I watched you choose kindness when you were hurting. I watched you remain faithful when quitting felt easier. Those choices were not wasted. They built strength in you. They deepened your roots. Think of a tree growing beside a river. For years, its growth may seem slow, but beneath the soil, the roots stretch far and wide, anchoring deeply. When storms come, that tree does not fall easily. You, my child, have been growing roots in seasons you thought were barren. And now, because of those hidden roots, you can withstand what is shifting without fear. The weight you feel in this hour is not meant to overwhelm you. It is significance. It is the awareness that you are near a turning point. A conversation you are about to have may redirect your thinking. A decision you are about to make may open a path you once believed was closed forever. The moment of obedience may unlock peace you have been longing for. Do not dismiss these hours as ordinary. Guard them. Be attentive to them. You are not behind in life. You are not late. I do not measure your journey by the timelines of others. Comparison has tried to convince you that you missed something, that you should have achieved more, moved faster, become someone else by now. But I tell you the truth. You are precisely positioned. Every lesson you learned, every tear you shed, every prayer you whispered has led you here. There are times when I move quietly, and there are times when I move swiftly. This is a moment of quiet precision that will lead to visible change. You may first notice it as clarity, thoughts aligning, confusion lifting, anxiety softening. Then you will notice opportunities aligning in ways that feel almost effortless. That is not luck. That is alignment. My beloved child, I am not asking you to strive harder. I am not demanding perfection. I am inviting awareness. Slow your breathing. Notice the subtle nudges in your spirit. Pay attention to what brings peace and what unsettles you. I speak through peace more often than you realize. The next hours are deliberate. They are designed. I am weaving threads you cannot yet see, forming a pattern that will soon become visible. When you look back, you will recognize the stretch of time as sacred. You will say, that was the moment everything began to shift. So do not rush through it. Do not drown it in noise. Stay near to me. Let your heart remain open. You are not stepping into chaos. You are stepping into alignment, and I am holding every detail with steady, unwavering love. My beloved child, heaven demands your ear in this hour not because I am far from you, but because I am nearer than you realize. When I call for your attention, it is never to burden you. It is to guide you. It is to steady you. It is to protect what I am about to release into your life. You are approaching a moment that requires clarity, and clarity is born from listening. There are many sounds surrounding you. Some are subtle, others loud and insistent. Fear tries to predict outcomes that have not yet happened. Doubt replays old failures as if they are permanent definitions. Distraction lures you into endless motion so you never pause long enough to discern what truly matters. These voices pull at your focus, scattering your energy in every direction. But my voice does not scatter you. My voice gathers you. It centers you. It calms the storm within your thoughts. Heaven demands your ear because direction is being released. Not confusion. Not chaos. Direction. Imagine a traveler walking through a dense forest at dusk. The path ahead begins to narrow, and shadows stretch across the ground. If the traveler continues without listening for guidance, he may wander into thorns or lose the trail completely. But if he pauses and listens for the one who knows the forest well, he will hear steady instructions: step left, slow down, watch your footing. My beloved, I know the terrain ahead of you. I see every turn. When I ask you to listen, it is because I am leading you safely through what you cannot yet see. In the coming hours, you may sense gentle nudges within your spirit, a hesitation before you speak, a quiet urging to reach out to someone you had not planned to contact, a strong sense to decline an offer that once seemed attractive, or perhaps a bold impression to move forward when fear once held you back. These impressions are not accidents. They are not random impulses. They are my guidance weaving through your awareness. Listening to me is not a complicated ritual. It is a posture of heart. It begins when you slow your breathing. It begins when you choose honesty over performance. Speak to me plainly. Tell me where you feel uncertain. Tell me where you feel weary. I am not intimidated by your questions. I am not disappointed by your vulnerability. Your openness creates space for my peace to rest upon you like a steady hand upon your shoulder. Do not confuse this urgency with anxiety. Anxiety rushes you into panic. My urgency calls you into focus. It is the awareness that this moment matters. What you choose to agree with in these hours will shape what unfolds next. If you agree with fear, you will feel constricted. If you agree with trust, you will feel strengthened. My voice always carries peace, even when it calls you to courage. My beloved child, if you can feel my words settling into your spirit right now, if something within you is saying, "This is for me," then allow that confirmation to move you into action. There are other hearts standing at their own crossroads, waiting for this same reassurance. When you visibly support this message, you are not promoting a video. You are amplifying my whisper to those who are desperate to hear it. Bless this message with your engagement so it can travel further than your own reach. Hype this video with intention so it rises before eyes that are searching in the dark. Share it boldly. Subscribe so you remain connected to these moments of divine alignment. Your simple action becomes part of the guidance I extend to countless others. Heaven demands your ear because I am aligning your steps. I am refining your discernment. I am positioning you where grace flows more freely than effort. Lean closer now. Quiet the noise that has crowded your mind. Let my whisper become stronger than every anxious prediction. I am not calling you to strive harder. I am calling you to listen deeper. And as you listen, you will walk with confidence into the very place I have prepared for you. My beloved child, there is a battle you cannot see, but you do not need to fear it. I speak of it not to alarm you, but to reassure you. For every unseen resistance that rises against you, there is a greater unseen protection surrounding you. You are not walking through empty air. You are walking through a realm alive with movement, and I am sovereign over it all. There are moments when you feel pressure without explanation. Your mood shifts suddenly. Doubt presses against your confidence. Old memories try to resurface at the very moment you are about to step forward. You wonder why now? Why does this feel heavier all of a sudden? My beloved, sometimes the resistance increases because breakthrough is near. The closer you move toward alignment, the more opposition attempts to distract you. But listen carefully. Opposition does not equal defeat. Imagine a shepherd standing watch over his flock at night. The sheep do not see the wolf at the edge of the field. They do not notice the shepherd's steady gaze scanning the darkness. They simply rest because they trust his presence. If danger approaches, the shepherd does not panic the sheep. He steps forward. He positions himself between threat and flock. He carries a staff not to frighten his sheep, but to defend them. I am the shepherd over you. The unseen battle is not yours to fight alone. It is not even yours to understand fully. What I ask of you is not to analyze every shadow, but to remain close to my voice. When you stay near, you remain covered. When you lean into my guidance, you step under my protection. In these next hours, you may feel subtle tension in the atmosphere around you. Conversations may feel slightly charged. Decisions may seem weightier than usual. This is not because you are fragile. It is because movement is occurring in realms beyond your sight. But remember this: nothing touches your life without passing through my hands first. You are not exposed. There have been times when you believed you were barely surviving. You thought you were standing alone against forces too strong for you. Yet you are still here. You are still breathing. You are still moving forward. That is not accidental resilience. That is sustained grace. I have been shielding you in ways you will only understand when you look back and see what did not happen. Think of a child walking beside his father through a crowded street. The child may not see every potential danger: the speeding cart, the uneven stone, the sudden movement of strangers. But the father does. The father's hand remains firm. He gently guides the child around obstacles before the child even recognizes they were there. In the same way, I have been guiding you around pitfalls you never noticed. Do not let fear exaggerate the unseen. Fear tries to magnify shadows until they appear larger than reality. But my presence is greater than any shadow. When you feel tension rising, pause. Breathe slowly. Whisper my name. Peace will return, not because the world suddenly changed, but because you remembered who stands with you. My beloved child, you do not need to fight for victory. You walk from it. The battle you cannot see has already been measured, limited, and restrained by my authority. No force has permission to override my purpose for you. What is meant for your growth will refine you. What is meant to harm you will be restrained. Stay attentive but not anxious. Stay aware but not afraid. The unseen realm is active, yes, but so is my protection. My angels stand watch. My spirit surrounds you. My wisdom flows toward you. The next hours may feel intense, but they are not dangerous in my hands. You are not vulnerable prey. You are a guarded child. Walk forward with calm confidence. Let your heart rest in the certainty that I am standing between you and anything that seeks to derail you. And as you move through this hour, remember, you are never alone in any battle, seen or unseen. My beloved child, there are cycles in your life that have felt endless. Patterns that seem to repeat no matter how much you prayed, no matter how hard you tried to grow. The same disappointments wearing different faces. The same fears grasped in new circumstances. You began to wonder if this was simply your portion, if this was the story you were destined to live over and over again. But listen to me carefully now. Certain cycles are breaking in this hour. Not by your striving, not by your perfection, but by my hand. Think of a chain that has wrapped itself loosely around your ankles for years. You learned to walk with it. You adjusted your pace. You even forgot at times that it was there. Yet it limited how far and how freely you could move. In these next hours, what has quietly restrained you is being loosened. What has defined your limits is losing its grip. You have carried patterns of doubt that were never planted by me. You have inherited fears from environments that shaped you but did not define you. You have tolerated emotional habits that once protected you but now restrict you. I do not condemn you for surviving the way you knew how. I honor your resilience. But survival is not the same as freedom. Freedom is what I am drawing you into. The breaking of a cycle often begins quietly. It may look like a different response than usual. Where you once reacted quickly in anger, you pause. Where you once assumed rejection, you choose trust. Where you once retreated in fear, you take one steady step forward. These small shifts are not insignificant. They are cracks forming in walls that once seemed permanent. Imagine a river that has followed the same path for years, carving deep grooves into the earth. It appears impossible to redirect. Yet with consistent flow and subtle shifts, the river gradually reshapes its banks. Over time, its course changes entirely. My beloved, your life is not fixed in stone. The grooves of old behavior and old thinking are being softened by my spirit. A new current is forming. You may feel unfamiliar in your own reactions. Situations that once triggered strong emotions may feel lighter. Conversations that once intimidated you may feel manageable. Do not dismiss this as coincidence. It is evidence that something within you has shifted. I am renewing your mind. I am healing hidden wounds. I am dissolving agreements you unknowingly made with limitation. Cycles of lack, cycles of self-sabotage, cycles of settling for less than you deserve. These are not your inheritance. I did not design you to repeat pain. I designed you to reflect growth. And growth requires movement beyond what is familiar. Sometimes the comfort of familiarity keeps you bound more than fear ever did. Even painful patterns can feel predictable. But I am inviting you beyond predictability into possibility. The next hours may present you with opportunities to respond differently. Take them. Trust the new instinct toward peace. Trust the new impulse toward courage. When a chain falls, there is often a moment of hesitation. The body is so used to the weight that freedom feels strange. You may find yourself almost reaching back for what constrained you because it feels known. Resist that urge. Step forward. Let the lightness remain. I am not merely adjusting your circumstances. I am transforming your inner landscape. The stories you told yourself about who you are being rewritten. You are not doomed to repeat the same mistakes. You are not trapped in patterns that began before you understood them. My grace reaches into every layer of your history. My beloved child, the breaking of old cycles is not loud. It is steady. It is deliberate. It is sacred. In these next hours, watch for the subtle signs. Watch how your thoughts begin to align with hope instead of fear. Watch how your heart chooses peace instead of panic. The chain is loosening. The path is widening. And you are stepping into a freedom that once felt impossible. My beloved child, the next hours are not only about what I am doing around you. They are also about what you will choose within you. There is an hour of decision before you, and it may not look dramatic from the outside. It may come disguised as an ordinary moment, a simple choice, a quiet yes or a peaceful no. But do not underestimate it. Small doors often lead to vast landscapes. You sometimes imagine destiny as something loud and unmistakable, like thunder rolling across the sky. But more often, destiny arrives as a gentle knock. It waits for your response. I will not force your hand. I guide you. I illuminate the path. I strengthen your heart. Yet the step itself, my beloved, is yours to take. This is not a test meant to expose your weakness. It is an invitation designed to reveal your growth. Picture a traveler approaching a narrow bridge at dusk. The wide road behind him was comfortable, though it led him in circles. The narrow bridge ahead seems uncertain, stretching across a quiet valley. The traveler hesitates, not because he is incapable, but because he knows once he crosses, he cannot return to wandering aimlessly. The bridge represents intention. It represents alignment. It represents choosing forward movement over familiar stagnation. You are standing before such a bridge. The decision before you may involve your words. Will you speak with fear or will you speak with trust? It may involve your time. Will you continue to pour it into distractions or will you invest it where growth is calling? It may involve a relationship, a boundary, a habit, or an opportunity that has quietly resurfaced. In each case, the question is the same. Will you align with peace, or will you cling to what feels safe but stagnant? Do not confuse comfort with calling. What is comfortable is not always what is aligned, and what is aligned may stretch you gently beyond what you thought you could do. But remember, I would never guide you towards something without also providing the strength to sustain it. You have grown more than you realize. The fears that once paralyzed you no longer hold the same authority. The insecurities that once silenced you have weakened. Even now, as you listen to my voice, something within you is stabilizing. That stability is courage being formed. Courage does not mean you feel no uncertainty. Courage means you choose trust in the presence of uncertainty. When you take a step aligned with my peace, even if your voice trembles, that step carries power. Heaven responds to agreement. When your choice reflects trust in me, unseen resources begin to move on your behalf. You may wonder, what if I choose wrongly? My beloved, I am not waiting to punish missteps. I am guiding your heart. When your intention is to walk with me, I correct gently. I redirect with love. You are not navigating a maze designed to trap you. You are walking a path designed for growth. The hour of decision is sacred because it shapes momentum. One aligned choice can shift an entire season. One obedient response can unlock clarity that confusion kept hidden. You do not need to map the entire journey. You only need to take the next faithful step. So pause when the moment comes. Read. Ask me quietly, is this aligned with your peace? You will feel the answer. My peace will either settle or withdraw. Learn to trust that sensation. It is one of the ways I speak. My beloved child, do not shrink back from this hour. Do not delay because it feels easier to wait. Movement is life. Alignment is freedom. The bridge before you is not fragile. It is supported by my hand. Step forward with calm confidence. Your decision in these next hours is not random. It is part of the transformation unfolding around you. And as you choose alignment over fear, you will discover that I have already prepared the ground on the other side. My beloved child, as these next hours unfold, fear will try to find its voice. I tell you this not to trouble you, but to prepare you. Fear rarely announces itself as an enemy. It often approaches quietly, dressed as caution, dressed as logic, dressed as self-protection. It will whisper, be careful. Do not hope too much. Do not step too far. Remember what happened last time. And if you are not attentive, you may mistake that whisper for wisdom. But listen closely to me now. Fear is not your guide. I am. Fear studies your past and tries to use it to predict your future. It replays memories of rejection, of disappointment, of delay. It highlights the moments they hurt and suggests they will repeat. It magnifies uncertainty until it feels like danger. Yet fear cannot see what I see. It does not know the plans I have set in motion. It does not understand the protection that surrounds you. My voice is different. When I speak, there is steadiness. There is calm strength. Even when I call you forward into something new, I do not rush you into panic. I invite you into trust. Fear pushes. I lead. In these next hours, you may feel a tightening in your chest or a wave of doubt crossing your thoughts. You may suddenly question a decision you felt peaceful about moments before. That is often how fear operates. It attempts to interrupt momentum. When breakthrough is near, fear grows louder because it senses its influence weakening. Imagine a child learning to ride a bicycle. The first few moments without training, wheels feel unstable. The ground seems farther away. The possibility of falling becomes very real. Fear says, "Stop now before you get hurt." But if the child listens only to fear, they never discover balance. They never experience the freedom of movement. Yet the loving Father runs alongside, ready to steady the handlebars, ready to catch them if needed. The Father does not remove all risk, but he remains close enough that the child is never alone. I am that Father beside you. You might condemn yourself for feeling afraid. Fear is a natural response to change. But do not allow it to become your authority. You are not required to obey every thought that enters your mind. You are allowed to examine it. You are allowed to ask, does this align with peace? Does this reflect trust? If a thought strips you of hope and leaves you restless and agitated, it is not from me. My guidance may stretch you, but it will always carry an undercurrent of peace. Even when you step into unfamiliar territory, there will be a quiet assurance beneath your uncertainty. That assurance is my spirit confirming that you are not stepping alone. Fear often exaggerates outcomes. It imagines worst-case scenarios and presents them as certainty. It tells you that one mistake will undo everything, that one misstep will define you forever. But I am not so fragile with your story. I redeem missteps. I redirect wrong turns. I weave even your errors into growth when your heart remains open to me. When fear begins to speak in these next hours, pause. Slow your breathing. Place your attention on my presence rather than on imagined outcomes. Whisper, I trust you to guide me. You may not feel instant boldness, but you will feel steadiness returning. That steadiness is courage taking root. My beloved child, you have already overcome more than fear expected. You survived seasons that once felt unbearable. You endured silence that felt endless. You kept moving forward when retreat would have been easier. Do not underestimate the strength that has been formed within you. Fear is a voice, but it is not your master. It may knock, but you do not have to open the door. Let my truth answer it. Let my peace overrule it. The storm of anxious thoughts may gather briefly, but it cannot control the sky of your destiny. Stay near to me. Measure every voice against the peace I provide. And as these next hours unfold, choose trust over tension, faith over panic, alignment over retreat. I am with you, steady and unshaken, and no whisper of fear can overpower my hold on you. My beloved child, you were prepared for this hour long before you recognized it. What feels sudden to you has not been sudden to me. I have been shaping you quietly through seasons you once wished away, the trials you asked me to remove, the waiting you begged me to shorten, the lessons you did not understand. Each one was forming strength within you for this very moment. You look at the next hours and wonder if you are ready. You question whether you have enough wisdom, enough discipline, enough courage to step into what is unfolding. But I see the full journey behind you. I remember every time you chose growth instead of bitterness. I remember when you held your tongue instead of reacting. I remember when you stood back up after disappointment and whispered, "I will try again." Those moments are not small. They were training. Think of a tree during winter. To the eye, it appears lifeless. No leaves, no visible fruit, no movement. But beneath the surface, its roots are deepening. They are pushing further into the soil, anchoring more firmly than before. When spring arrives, the tree does not scramble to prepare. It is already prepared because of what happened in winter. In the same way, your hidden seasons were strengthening your foundation. You often measure readiness by visible success. You think you must feel fearless, completely confident, entirely certain before you are qualified for change. But readiness in my kingdom is quieter than that. It is the steady resilience that has been built inside you. It is the patience you developed when answers were delayed. It is the discernment you gained when you were forced to slow down. There were conversations that hurt you deeply. There were setbacks that forced you to rethink your direction. There were seasons when you felt unseen and overlooked. Yet in each of those experiences, I was refining something within you. I was sanding away rough edges. I was strengthening your ability to trust me when circumstances did not make sense. My beloved child, nothing you endured was wasted. Not the tears you cried alone. Not the nights you questioned your path. Not the moments you felt misunderstood. Each one added weight to your character. Each one made you more compassionate, more discerning, more grounded than you realize. In these next hours, you will draw from strengths you forgot you had. You will respond with wisdom that surprises you. You will notice a calm steadiness in situations that once would have overwhelmed you. Do not dismiss this as coincidence. It is evidence of preparation. Imagine a musician practicing in an empty room for years. The audience never sees the repetition, the mistakes, the hours of refining technique. Then one day, the musician steps onto a stage, and the performance appears effortless. The applause comes for the visible moment, but the mastery was formed in private. Your life has been much like that. The quiet seasons were rehearsals. Now you are stepping into a visible shift. You may still feel uncertain, but uncertainty does not cancel preparation. It simply means you cannot see the entire picture yet. Trust that I can. Trust that the lessons you learned have equipped you more than you understand. Even the pain you survived has become a source of strength. It taught you empathy. It taught you to seek me more deeply. It taught you that you can endure more than you once believed. Those lessons are now part of your foundation. My beloved child, you are not fragile in this moment. You are formed. You are not unready. You are equipped. The next hours are not arriving to test whether you will collapse. They are arriving to reveal how far you have come. Stand steady. Remember your growth. Trust the preparation that has taken place within you. I have been shaping you for this, and I do not bring you to an hour like this without also giving you everything you need to walk through it with strength and grace. My beloved child, heaven moves when you agree with me. There is a sacred partnership woven into your design. I did not create you to be a passive observer of your life. I created you to walk with me, to align your heart with mine, to let your inner yes open doors that fear once kept closed. When you come into agreement with my truth, something shifts not only inside you, but in the atmosphere around you. Agreement is powerful because it changes direction. It changes momentum. It changes expectation. You may not always see what I am doing behind the scenes. You may not understand why certain pieces are moving or why others are delayed. But when you choose to trust me in the absence of full understanding, you align yourself with my perspective rather than your limitations. That alignment invites movement. Imagine a sailboat resting on water at dawn. The wind is already blowing across the surface, steady and ready. But if the sail remains tied down, the boat will drift aimlessly or remain still. The wind does not disappear. It waits. The moment the sail is lifted and positioned correctly, the same wind that once felt invisible begins to carry the boat forward. My spirit is always moving. Your agreement is the lifting of the sail. In these next hours, your thoughts will attempt to pull you in different directions. Some will whisper hope. Others will murmur doubt. You may hear an inner voice saying, "This could work," followed by another saying, "Do not risk it." You are not required to accept every thought as truth. You have authority over what you agree with. When fear suggests that you will fail, and you respond, "I trust that I am guided," that is agreement with me. When insecurity says you are not ready, and you answer, "I have been prepared," that is agreement with me. When circumstances look unstable and you whisper, "You are still in control," heaven responds to that alignment. Agreement is not denial of reality. It is interpretation of reality through faith rather than panic. If a door closes, you can agree with disappointment and declare yourself rejected, or you can agree with me and trust that redirection is taking place. If a delay appears, you can agree with frustration and assume abandonment, or you can agree with my timing and believe that preparation is unfolding. My beloved child, agreement often begins quietly. It may be as simple as shifting your internal dialogue. Instead of rehearsing worst-case scenarios, you begin to rehearse my promises. Instead of magnifying obstacles, you magnify my presence. That shift in focus changes your posture. Your shoulders relax. Your breathing steadies. Your voice becomes calmer. That is the fruit of alignment. Think of an orchestra preparing to perform. Each instrument must tune itself to the same key. If one violin insists on playing its own note, the harmony is disrupted. But when every instrument aligns with the conductor's direction, the sound becomes unified and powerful. I am conducting a greater symphony in your life. When you align your thoughts and actions with my voice, you create harmony where there was once tension. In these next hours, opportunities may arise that require your agreement. A conversation may present itself where you can either speak from fear or from trust. A decision may come where you can either cling to what is familiar or step into growth. Your agreement with me will not remove all challenge, but it will release grace into the challenge. Do not underestimate the power of your internal yes. Even if it is whispered softly, it carries weight in realms you cannot see. When you say yes to peace, peace expands. When you say yes to obedience, doors align. When you say yes to my guidance, resistance begins to lose its strength. Heaven is not waiting for perfection from you. Heaven is waiting for agreement. Lift your sail, my child. Position your heart toward trust. Let your thoughts harmonize with my promises. And as you do, you will feel movement begin where stagnation once lingered. I am already moving. Agree with me, and watch how the current carries you forward. My beloved child, a divine shift is happening, even now. You may not see it fully with your eyes yet, but you can sense it in the atmosphere around your life. Something that once felt heavy is beginning to loosen. Something that once felt delayed is beginning to move. This is not imagination. This is alignment unfolding in real time. Shifts rarely announce themselves with noise. They begin subtly. The air feels different. Your thoughts begin to clear. The same situation that once stirred anxiety now feels manageable. The same uncertainty that once paralyzed you now feels like possibility. That is how transformation often begins, not with chaos, but with quiet reordering. Think of the horizon just before sunrise. The world is still dark, but the blackness softens into deep blue. There is a faint glow where night once ruled completely. If you did not know better, you might assume nothing has changed. But those who understand the rhythm of dawn recognize that light is already advancing. My beloved, you are standing in that pre-dawn glow. The prayers you thought were unanswered are being activated. The doors that seemed permanently shut are being revisited. Conversations that felt stalled are being rearranged behind the scenes. I am shifting circumstances in ways that protect you and position you simultaneously. What once resisted you is losing strength. What once intimidated you is shrinking. You may feel a sudden urge to organize, to prepare, to clear out what no longer serves you. You may feel drawn toward clarity, toward focus, toward intentional movement. These impulses are not random bursts of motivation. They are responses to the shift taking place. Your spirit senses change before your schedule reflects it. There are seasons when you endure. There are seasons when you grow quietly. And then there are seasons when movement accelerates. You are approaching acceleration. This does not mean chaos. It means momentum. The groundwork has been laid. The roots have deepened. Now the visible growth begins. But listen carefully. When a shift occurs, you must remain attentive. Old habits may try to cling to you. That may attempt one final whisper. Do not return to patterns that belong to the previous season. When I move you forward, do not anchor yourself in yesterday's fear. My beloved child, if you can feel this shift in your spirit, if something inside you recognizes that these words are confirming what you have sensed, then do not keep this moment silent. When light begins to break through darkness, it must be lifted high so others can see it. There are souls waiting for confirmation that change is possible for them too. If this message is igniting hope within you, let your response help it travel further. Hype this message boldly so it rises to those who are scrolling in despair. Engage with it, share it, and subscribe so you remain connected to the unfolding of my guidance. Your visible support becomes part of the acceleration I am releasing. This divine shift is not fragile. It is intentional. I am rearranging what once seemed immovable. I am aligning relationships, opportunities, and insights that will soon intersect at the right time. You may look back at this very hour and realize it was a pivot point, the moment when stagnation gave way to flow. Stay steady. Stay humble. Stay grateful. Do not rush ahead of me, but do not lag behind in hesitation either. Walk with me step by step as this new momentum builds. The shift is not something you must force. It is something you must recognize and cooperate with. Dawn is breaking, my beloved. The light is advancing across your horizon. What once felt like endless night is giving way to clarity. Trust the movement. Trust the timing. Trust that I am guiding you into a season where effort will feel lighter because alignment has been restored. My beloved child, as this shift unfolds, there is something I am gently asking you to release. There are burdens you have been carrying that I never placed upon your shoulders. There are labels you accepted that I never spoke over you. There are weights you grew accustomed to holding, believing they were your responsibility, when in truth they were never yours to bear. Release what I did not give you. You have carried guilt for things beyond your control. You have replayed conversations in your mind, wishing you had spoken differently. acted differently, known more at the time. You have taken responsibility for outcomes that were shaped by many hands, not just yours. My beloved, I do not ask you to live chained to yesterday's misunderstandings. I offer correction, not condemnation. I offer growth, not shame. There is a difference between conviction and guilt. Conviction gently corrects and leads you forward. Guilt binds you to the past and whispers that you are defined by your worst moment. That whisper is not mine. When I correct you, it is specific and freeing. When guilt accuses you, it is vague and heavy. Learn to recognize the difference. You have also carried expectations placed on you by others. Expectations about who you should be, how quickly you should succeed, how perfectly you should perform. Over time, those expectations became internal voices. You began measuring yourself against standards I never set. And when you fell short of those imagined standards, you punished yourself silently. But I did not create you to perform for approval. You already have my love. You do not earn it. You do not maintain it by flawless behavior. You live from it. Imagine a child trying to carry a load of bricks far too heavy for his small frame. He strains. He stumbles. He believes the struggle proves his worth. Yet the father watching him never asked him to lift those bricks. The father steps in, kneels down, and says, "Give them to me." That is what I am saying to you now. Give me the bricks. Give me the regret that has lingered too long. Give me the silent comparison that has stolen your joy. Give me the self-criticism that replays in your thoughts when you make even small mistakes. I am not disappointed in you. I am forming you. In these next hours, you may feel a lightness as you begin to let go. It may feel unfamiliar at first. You have grown used to carrying certain emotional weights. They became part of your posture. But freedom will straighten your back. It will steady your breathing. It will quiet the inner tension you thought was normal. You may worry that releasing guilt means ignoring responsibility. It does not. Responsibility is clear-eyed and forward-moving. Guilt is backward-looking and paralyzing. I am calling you into maturity, not self-punishment. Learn from what happened. Grow from it. But do not chain yourself to it. My beloved child, shame is not a tool I use. Shame hides. Shame isolates. Shame convinces you to withdraw from my presence. Yet I draw you closer. I invite you into open conversation. I restore and I rebuild. I redeem. What you regret, I can reshape. What you misunderstood, I can clarify. What you fear defined you, I can transform. As this divine shift continues, the space within you must be cleared of what does not belong. New peace cannot fully settle in a heart crowded with self-accusation. New confidence cannot grow where shame constantly interrupts. So breathe deeply now. Imagine placing each unnecessary burden into my hands. See yourself standing lighter, freer, unburdened by labels that never came from me. You are not the sum of your past missteps. You are my beloved child, continually being renewed. Release what I did not give you. Step into the next hours without the weight that once slowed you. I am not asking you to prove yourself. I am inviting you to walk freely, knowing that my grace is sufficient for every step ahead. My beloved child, as everything around you begins to shift, I am calling you into something that may feel unfamiliar in a world that never stops moving. I am calling you into stillness. Not because nothing is happening, but because so much is happening that you must be anchored. Stillness is not weakness. It is strength under control. It is awareness without panic. It is trust expressed through calm attention. The world teaches you to rush when change approaches. It teaches you that urgency means speed, that opportunity must be chased, that silence equals stagnation. But my ways are different. When I move most profoundly, I often invite you to slow down, not to delay obedience, but to deepen perception. In stillness, you notice what hurried minds overlook. Imagine a lake disturbed by wind. The surface trembles, ripples racing in every direction. If you try to look into it, your reflection is distorted. You cannot see beneath the surface clearly. But when the wind settles and the water becomes calm, the lake turns into a mirror. It reflects the sky with stunning clarity. Your thoughts are like that water. When anxiety, comparison, and constant stimulation churn through your mind, you cannot perceive my guidance clearly. But when you choose stillness, your inner waters settle, and my reflection becomes visible again. You may feel a sense of urgency in these next hours. You may think you must figure everything out immediately. But urgency does not always require movement. Sometimes it requires focus. There is a difference between haste and intention. Haste is driven by fear of missing something. Intention is guided by clarity of purpose. Stillness allows intention to rise. When you pause before responding, you create space for wisdom. When you sit quietly instead of reacting impulsively, you allow discernment to surface. When you breathe deeply instead of spiraling into worry, you remind your body and spirit that you are not in danger. I am with you. Think of an archer drawing back a bow. Before the arrow flies, there is tension held in perfect balance. The archer does not rush the release. He steadies his aim. He controls his breath. That pause determines whether the arrow strikes its target or misses entirely. In the same way, your pause in this season will determine the accuracy of your next steps. My beloved child, I am not impressed by frantic effort. I am pleased by attentive hearts. You do not need to prove your dedication through exhaustion. You do not need to demonstrate faith by overwhelming yourself. I am inviting you to rest your thoughts in me so that when you move with precision. In stillness, you may notice emotions rising that you have long pushed aside. Do not be afraid of them. Let them come into the light of my presence. When you bring hidden fears and unspoken disappointments into stillness with me, they lose their grip. What once felt overwhelming begins to untangle. Clarity follows honesty. Stillness is where you remember your identity. Away from noise, away from comparison, away from performance, you rediscover who you are without external pressure. You are my beloved. Not because of productivity, not because of perfection, but because I chose you. As this divine shift unfolds, the temptation will be to react quickly. Resist that impulse. Choose to respond thoughtfully instead. Let your mind become calm water reflecting my truth. When your thoughts are steady, your decisions will carry peace. When your heart is quiet, courage will feel natural rather than forced. Guard moments of silence in these hours. Even a few intentional minutes can reset your perspective. Turn away from the noise. Sit in my presence. Breathe slowly. Listen gently. You may not hear thunder. You may not receive dramatic revelation. But you will sense alignment returning. In stillness, your strength renews. In stillness, confusion clears. In stillness, you realize that the one who controls the future is not anxious. And because I am not anxious, you do not have to be. Let stillness anchor you, my child. The shift happening around you must first settle within you. And in the quiet, you will find that I have been speaking all along. My beloved child, you are not behind. I need you to hear that clearly in this hour. The world has whispered to you that you should be further along by now. It has shown you timelines and milestones and compared your journey to others who seem to be moving faster. Quietly, without realizing it, you began to measure yourself against clocks I never created for you. But I am not bound by the timelines that pressure you. You look at your life and see delays. I look at your life and see development. You see pauses. I see preparation. You see closed doors that lingered too long. I see redirections that protected you from paths that would have drained you. Think of a seed planted beneath the soil. For a long time, nothing appears to happen. If someone were to judge that seed by surface evidence alone, they would declare it inactive, maybe even dead. But beneath the soil, roots are forming. Structure is being established. Strength is developing in darkness long before any green shoot appears above ground. If the seed were forced upward too quickly, it would wither without foundation. My beloved, your hidden seasons were not wasted seasons. There were times when you felt overlooked while others were celebrated. There were moments when you questioned whether you had missed an opportunity forever. You wondered if you had taken a wrong turn that permanently set you back. But I see the full map of your journey. What you call delay was often protection. What you call setback was often refinement. You have grown in ways that do not always show in visible achievements. You have become more patient. You have learned discernment. You have discovered resilience. These qualities may not draw applause, but they sustain destiny. Life built too quickly without inner strength collapses under pressure. I chose to build you deeply rather than rapidly. Comparison has been one of the heaviest weights on your heart. It whispers that you are late, that you should be further, that something must be wrong with you. But comparison only sees fragments. It does not know the full story behind anyone's progress. It does not see the private struggles others face. And it certainly does not understand the personal calling I have written uniquely for you. I am not writing the same story for every soul. Your path is not meant to mirror another's timeline. It is meant to unfold according to my wisdom and your readiness. In these next hours, you may feel renewed urgency to move forward. That is good. But let it be inspired by alignment, not insecurity. Move because you trust me, not because you fear being left behind. When you act from insecurity, your steps feel frantic. When you act from trust, your steps feel steady. Imagine a master builder constructing a house. The foundation takes time. It is measured carefully, poured deliberately, allowed to settle completely before walls are raised. If the builder rushed the foundation to impress onlookers, the structure would later crack. In the same way, I have been laying a foundation in you. It required time. It required patience. It required seasons where visible progress seemed slow. But now, because the foundation is firm, what rises next will stand securely. My beloved child, release the belief that you are behind. You are not late to your own calling. You are exactly where growth has positioned you. The next steps will not feel like desperate attempts to catch up. They will feel like natural progression. Trust the rhythm I have set for you. Trust the pace at which you have matured. Trust that what seemed delayed was being prepared for the right moment. When you look back, you will not see wasted time. You will see careful construction. Lift your head. Stand confidently in this hour. You are not racing against anyone else's clock. You are walking within my timing, and my timing is neither rushed nor delayed. It is precise, intentional, and filled with purpose for you. My beloved child, as these next hours unfold, I want you to move with a deep awareness of this truth. You are protected, not casually watched. not distantly observe. Protected with intention, with precision, with love that pays attention to every detail. There is a covering over your life in this very moment, and it is not fragile. You may not see protection the way you see obstacles. Obstacles are visible. They stand in your path. Protection often works invisibly. It redirects before collision. It softens before impact. It blocks what would have drained you before you even recognize the danger. Many times in your life, you have thanked me for what I gave you, but you did not realize how often you were being preserved from what could have harmed you. Think of a father walking beside his child near a busy road. The child is fascinated by the world, colors, sounds, movement. The father's eyes, however, scan constantly. He notices the approaching vehicle before the child steps too close. He gently pulls the child back without creating fear. The child may not even realize how near danger was. That is how my protection operates in your life. In these coming hours, conversations will unfold. Decisions will be presented. Opportunities will appear. Some will move forward. Others will quietly dissolve. If something feels unsettled, if peace withdraws from a choice you were about to make, pause. That pause may be my protective hand. If a delay interrupts what you planned, do not immediately interpret it as frustration. Sometimes interruption is insulation. Protection does not mean you will never face difficulty. It means that difficulty will not destroy you. It means that what reaches you has already passed through my permission. Nothing touches your life without my awareness. Nothing approaches your path without being measured by my wisdom. You have spent seasons feeling like you had to guard yourself constantly. You became alert to every tone shift in a conversation, every subtle sign of rejection, every potential risk. That hypervigilance may have once felt necessary, but it has been exhausting. I am inviting you into a different posture. Trust. Trust does not make you careless. It makes you calm. When you trust my covering, you do not need to scan every shadow. You do not need to anticipate every possible outcome. You move forward attentive but not anxious. Imagine standing beneath a strong shelter during a sudden storm. The rain may pour heavily around you. The wind may blow fiercely. But you remain dry because you are covered. You are not responsible for controlling the storm. You are simply positioned under protection. In the same way, circumstances around you may shift, but you are not exposed. There may be words spoken to you that once would have pierced deeply, but now they will land lightly, unable to wound as before. That is protection over your heart. There may be invitations that once would have entangled you in stress, but now they quietly fade away before you commit. That is protection over your time. There may be plans that unravel before they begin, sparing you complications you never saw coming. That is protection over your future. My beloved child, I am also guarding what concerns you most. Your home, your loved ones, the spaces you enter, the paths you travel. I am attentive beyond what your eyes can perceive. Even when you sleep, I remain watchful. Even when you feel uncertain, I remain steady. If anxiety rises in these hours, let this truth answer it. I am covered. If fear whispers of unseen harm, respond with calm assurance. I am guarded. The one who formed you is not distracted. The one who loves you is not careless. You do not walk into these next hours alone. You walk surrounded. You walk shielded. You walk accompanied by my presence on every side. Rest in that reality. Let your shoulders relax. Let your breathing deepen. Protection is not an afterthought in your life. It is part of my promise to you. And as you move forward, you will begin to notice subtle confirmations that my hand has gone before you, preparing the way and preserving your peace. My beloved child, what you thought was ending may actually be beginning. I see the way your heart tightens when something familiar starts to fade. Even if it was imperfect, even if it carried frustration, it was known. And when the known begins to dissolve, you can mistake transition for loss. But I am asking you to look again, not with fear, but with trust. Endings in my hands are not accidents. They are assignments fulfilled. There are chapters in your life that were designed with a purpose and a time frame. When the time frame is complete, I gently turn the page. Yet you sometimes try to hold the page open, rereading lines that have already done their work in you. You wonder if you failed because something concluded. But completion is not failure, it is fulfillment. Imagine a student who has finished a course. The classroom that once felt central to daily life is no longer required. The lessons were absorbed. The assignments were completed. The growth occurred. To remain in that same classroom would not produce further maturity. It would only delay advancement. In the same way, some environments, some connections, and even some internal seasons have finished teaching you what they were meant to teach. You may grieve what is ending, and that is natural. I do not ask you to ignore your emotions. But do not confuse grief with regression. Grief simply acknowledges that something mattered. It does not mean it was meant to last forever. Consider the gardener again, walking through a flourishing vineyard. He carries pruning shears not to destroy the vine, but to strengthen it. He removes branches that have already borne fruit so that new growth can emerge. From the vine's perspective, the cutting feels abrupt. But from the gardener's perspective, it is strategic. Without pruning, the plant becomes overgrown, tangled, and less productive. My beloved, you are being refined, not reduced. There are attachments you have held tightly because they were familiar. There are routines you maintained because they felt safe. There are roles you played because they once defined you. But as you grow, not everything can grow with you. Some things must gently fall away. You may look at a closing door and think opportunity has vanished. But what if the door was too narrow for the expansion ahead? What if remaining there would have limited the very growth you have prayed for? I am not removing you from places of purpose. I am repositioning you for greater alignment. Think of a river that once flowed in a certain direction. Over time, the landscape shifts. The river gradually carves a new path, not because the old path was wrong, but because the terrain changed. Your life is like that river. As your understanding deepens and your capacity increases, the direction of flow adjusts. There are dreams that seem to end prematurely, hopes that felt interrupted, plans that unraveled just when you thought they were stabilizing. You questioned whether those moments were signs that you misheard me. But sometimes I allow something to close so it can reopen under better conditions. What looks like an ending may simply be a pause before restoration. My beloved child, empty space is not evidence of abandonment. It is fertile ground. When something leaves your life, it creates room. That room can feel uncomfortable at first. Silence where there was once noise. Stillness where there was once activity. But that space is sacred. It is where new vision begins to form. Do not rush to fill that space with the familiar just because it feels easier. Let me guide what enters next. Trust that what is being removed has served its purpose. Bless it. Release it. Carry the lessons forward without clinging to the form. The sunrise does not argue with the night. It simply rises, and darkness yields. The night was not wrong. It was simply complete. In the same way, certain seasons in your life are yielding because their time has finished. You are not losing ground. You are gaining clarity. You are not being reduced. You are being expanded. The chapter closing in these hours is not the end of your story. It is the turning of a page toward something broader, healthier, and more aligned with who you have become. Trust the transition. Trust my timing. Trust that what feels like an ending is actually the threshold of a beginning I have carefully prepared for you. My beloved child, in the middle of all this movement, all this shifting, all this anticipation, I am inviting you into something very simple yet deeply powerful. I am inviting you to listen for the gentle whisper, not the dramatic sign, not the thunder that shakes the ground, the whisper that settles quietly within your spirit. I do not always speak in ways that overwhelm your senses. I often speak in ways that draw you closer. A whisper requires intimacy. It requires attention. It requires you to lean in. And I desire that closeness with you more than you realize. The world around you is loud. Opinions shout. Notifications demand. Fear exaggerates. Urgency pretends to be importance. In that noise, you can begin to assume that what is loud must be right. But my voice does not compete for volume. It carries authority without aggression. It carries clarity without chaos. When I whisper, it is not because I am uncertain. It is because I am near. Imagine a father standing beside his child in a crowded place. He does not need to shout the child's name to guide them. He simply bends down and speaks softly, knowing the child will recognize his tone. That recognition comes from relationship. You recognize my whisper not because it is loud, but because it feels like home. In these next hours, guidance will not necessarily arrive as dramatic revelation. It may come as a quiet restraint before you speak. It may feel like a subtle peace about one decision and a subtle unease about another. It may be a persistent thought that gently returns, not demanding attention, but patiently waiting for it. Do not dismiss the subtle. You have sometimes waited for overwhelming certainty before moving forward. You have looked for signs that remove all doubt. But faith often walks with gentle clarity rather than absolute visibility. The whisper may not show you the entire road ahead. It will illuminate the next step. There is a difference between pressure and prompting. Pressure feels heavy, rushed, and anxious. Prompting feels steady, calm, and persistent. When you sense panic pushing you to act quickly, pause. That is not my whisper. When you sense a calm nudge encouraging alignment, pay attention. That is how I often guide you. My beloved child, stillness was not an accident in this journey. I called you into it so you could hear more clearly. When your thoughts slow down, when your breathing deepens, when you release the need to react immediately, the whisper becomes distinguishable from the noise. Think of a musician tuning an instrument before a performance. If the surrounding room is chaotic, it is difficult to detect subtle changes in pitch. But in quiet, even the smallest adjustment becomes noticeable. Your spirit is like that instrument. In quiet, you detect alignment. In noise, you miss it. The whisper will never shame you. It will never belittle you. It will never remind you of your past to keep you stuck there. My voice calls you forward. It reminds you of your identity. It reassures you even when it stretches you. When I guide you into courage, there is peace beneath it. When I guide you into patience, there is steadiness within it. You may question yourself at first. You may wonder if you are imagining the impression you feel. But remember the times you sensed something before and later realized it protected you. Remember when you followed a quiet nudge and found yourself exactly where you needed to be. That same gentle guidance is present now. The more you respond to the whisper, the clearer it becomes. Relationship deepens through attention. When you honor the small promptings, you build confidence in recognizing my tone. You begin to distinguish it from fear, from insecurity, from external pressure. In these next hours, when choices present themselves, ask softly within, is this aligned with peace? Then wait. The answer will not scream. It will settle. It will either expand your calm or disturb it. Learn to trust that inner settling. Lean closer, my beloved. The whisper is not distant. It is already within reach. It carries wisdom, protection, and direction designed specifically for you. And as you grow accustomed to that gentle voice, you will realize that what is soft in sound is strong in guidance, and what is quiet in tone is powerful in transformation. My beloved child, your obedience in these next hours will unlock acceleration in ways you have not yet imagined. I speak this not to burden you with pressure, but to awaken you to partnership. There are seasons when life unfolds gradually, almost quietly, like a river moving steadily across open land. And then there are moments when a single act of alignment removes what has been restricting flow, and suddenly everything begins to move with renewed strength. You are standing in such a moment. Obedience is not harsh. It is not mechanical rule-keeping. It is relational alignment. It is your willing yes to my whisper. It is your trust expressed through action. When I nudge your heart gently and you respond, something shifts not only within you but around you. There are instructions I have already placed in your spirit. Some are subtle. Some are practical. Some may even seem small enough to ignore. But small obedience often carries great consequence. A minor correction in direction can determine an entirely different destination. Imagine a pilot adjusting a plane's course by only a few degrees. In the moment, the change seems almost invisible. But over hundreds of miles, that slight shift determines where the plane ultimately lands. In the same way, the choice you make in obedience now will influence where you stand months from today. You have prayed for breakthrough. You have asked for momentum. You have longed for visible progress. Acceleration often follows alignment. Not because you earn my love through obedience, but because obedience removes internal resistance. When you cooperate with my guidance, you clear the path for what I have already prepared. There may be a conversation I have prompted you to initiate. There may be a distraction I have asked you to release. There may be a step of courage I have placed before you repeatedly in stillness. Each time you delay, hesitation grows heavier. But the moment you say yes, even if your voice trembles, movement begins. Picture a river held back by a temporary dam of debris. Branches, stones, and tangled roots have gathered, slowing the current. The water builds quietly behind the obstruction. The instant that blockage is cleared, the river does not creep forward timidly. It surges. The force was already present. It was simply waiting for release. My beloved child, some of the acceleration you desire is waiting on your agreement expressed through obedience. Obedience does not require that you feel completely fearless. It requires that you trust me more than you trust your hesitation. Strength rises as you move. Courage grows as you act. The step itself activates the support you need. You already know certain areas where I have been nudging you. You know where peace has withdrawn from an old pattern. You know where clarity has been persisted. Do not overcomplicate what is simple. When I guide, I do not confuse. I illuminate. There is grace attached to obedience in this hour. When you align quickly, you will notice that doors open with less resistance. Conversations unfold with unexpected favor. Solutions emerge more naturally than before. That is not coincidence. That is acceleration born from alignment. My beloved, if these words are resonating deeply within you, if you sense that this is your moment to respond decisively, then let that response extend beyond silent agreement. There are other hearts wrestling with hesitation right now. When you actively support this message, you help carry this call to alignment into their lives. Hype this message with bold faith so it rises to those standing at their own crossroads. Engage with it, share it, and remain connected through subscription so the unfolding of my guidance continues to reach you. Your visible participation becomes part of the acceleration I am releasing. Acceleration is not chaos. It is clarity being obedient. It is peace fueling progress. When you say yes to me, you are not striving harder. You are cooperating more deeply. The current is ready. The path is clearing. The weight that slowed you is loosening. Do not hesitate at the edge of movement. Step forward with confidence that I go before you. Your obedience in this hour is not small. It is the key that unlocks the momentum you have been praying for. My beloved child, I am restoring your confidence. Not the fragile confidence that depends on applause. Not the temporary confidence that rises when everything goes well. I am restoring the deep, steady confidence that comes from knowing who you are in me. There have been seasons when your confidence was shaken. Words spoken over you lingered longer than they should have. Failures replayed in your mind until they felt larger than your victories. You began to question your judgment. You second-guessed your instincts. You wondered if you were truly capable of carrying what was placed before you. But listen to me now. You are not defined by the moments that humbled you. You are refined by them. Confidence does not mean you have never fallen. It means you understand that falling did not finish you. It means you trust that growth continues even after mistakes. It means you recognize that your value is not erased by a setback. Imagine a craftsman shaping a piece of stone. The chisel strikes repeatedly, removing rough edges. From the outside, it may look like damage. But with every strike, the form becomes clearer. The craftsman sees the final shape long before the stone does. In the same way, the challenges you faced were not random blows. They were shaping tools in my hands. You lost confidence when you compared yourself too often. You measured your progress against others whose paths were never meant to match yours. You saw their visible success and overlooked your quiet strength. You forgot how far you have come because you focused on how far you still wanted to go. But I see the whole journey. I see the courage it took to begin again. I see the discipline it required to keep moving when no one noticed. I see the integrity you maintained when it would have been easier to compromise. Those are not small qualities. They are foundations of lasting confidence. In these next hours, I am lifting the weight of self-doubt from your shoulders. You will notice it in subtle ways. You will speak with more clarity. You will make decisions with less hesitation. You will trust your discernment without overanalyzing every detail. That shift is not arrogance. It is restoration. Confidence rooted in me is calm. It does not need to prove itself loudly. It does not shrink when challenged. It does not collapse when criticized. It stands steady because it is anchored beyond circumstance. Think of a lighthouse standing against strong winds. Storms may crash against it. Waves may strike its base, but it remains upright because its foundation is secure. Your confidence is becoming like that lighthouse. It will not be easily shaken by opinions or temporary setbacks. You may still feel moments of uncertainty. That is natural. Confidence does not eliminate all questions. It simply refuses to let questions define you. When doubt arises, you will answer it with truth rather than surrendering to it. My beloved child, you were never meant to walk through life apologizing for your existence. You were not created to diminish your gifts so others feel comfortable. You were formed intentionally, with purpose woven into your design. Your voice matters. Your presence matters. Your decisions matter. The restoration of confidence is not about becoming someone new. It is about returning to who you truly are. Beneath the insecurity, beneath the fear, beneath the hesitation, there has always been strength. I am simply uncovering it. In these next hours, walk with your head lifted, not in pride but in assurance. When you speak, speak with clarity. When you decide, decide with peace. When you move, move with steadiness. I am not asking you to be flawless. I am reminding you that you are formed, equipped, and guided. The confidence rising within you is evidence that the shift is not only around you, it is within you. Stand firm, my beloved. You are stronger than you realized, and I am restoring what doubt once tried to steal. My beloved child, the opposition that once rose against you misjudged you completely. It looked at your moments of vulnerability and assumed you would collapse. It watched you struggle and believed you would surrender. It saw your tears and thought they were signs of defeat. But what it failed to see was what I had already planted within you. You were never as fragile as the resistance assumed. There were seasons when pressure surrounded you from every side, challenges stacked upon each other. Just as you caught your breath, another demand appeared. You wondered quietly, why does it feel like I am always pushing uphill? You questioned whether you were somehow destined to carry more than others. But understand this clearly. Resistance often gathers where purpose is present. The weight you felt was not proof of weakness. It was confirmation of capacity. Consider a seed buried beneath heavy soil. Darkness presses around it. The earth feels suffocating. If the seed could think, it might interpret that pressure as destruction. Yet that very pressure forces the seed to activate what is hidden within it. Roots begin to stretch downward. A shoot begins to push upward. The soil that felt like a burial ground becomes the very environment that bursts growth. In the same way, the pressure you experienced was not meant to crush you. It was activating something deeper within you. Endurance formed. Leges majo. Discernment sharpened. You became stronger in ways that did not always show outwardly, but were undeniable inwardly. The enemy misjudged your resilience. It saw your hesitation and assumed you would retreat permanently. It saw your temporary discouragement and believed it was permanent defeat. It underestimated the quiet determination inside you, the steady return to hope even when circumstances looked bleak. I saw you when you wanted to quit but chose to try one more time. I saw you when disappointment tempted you to grow bitter, but you remained soft. I saw you when you were misunderstood, yet you held your integrity. Those moments were not small. They were defining. Imagine a blacksmith placing metal into a furnace. The fire burns intensely. The metal glows under heat. To an outside observer, it might look as though the metal is being destroyed. But the blacksmith knows the purpose of the flame. He controls the temperature. He watches carefully. He does not allow the fire to exceed what the metal can withstand. And when the metal emerges, it is stronger, more durable, more refined than before. My beloved child, the heat you endured was measured. It was not random. It did not escape my awareness. The very trials that seemed unfair were forging resilience into your character. You may still carry reminders of those battles. Perhaps you hesitate slightly in certain situations. Perhaps you brace yourself when something feels uncertain. That is natural. Scars are evidence of healing. They do not diminish your strength. They testify that you survived. Do not interpret your past resistance as a prediction of your future. It was a preparation for it. What once intimidated you now instructs you. What once destabilized you now steadies you. You are not the same person who first encountered those challenges. You have grown. Opposition misjudged your identity. It thought you would shrink back permanently. Instead, you expanded. It thought delay would exhaust you. Instead, you learned patience. It thought criticism would silence you. Instead, you found your voice. Now, as these next hours unfold, you will notice a quiet confidence rising within you. Situations that once felt overwhelming will feel manageable. Conversations that once intimidated you will no longer steal your peace. Decisions that once caused panic will now be approached with steadiness. This is growth revealed. You were never meant to be easily broken. You were formed with strength woven into your spirit. What tried to stop you has only proven that you carry something significant. Pressure revealed capacity. Resistance revealed endurance. Stand firm in this truth, my beloved. You are not fragile. You are forged. You are not defeated. You are refined. And what once misjudged you will now witness you moving forward with greater strength, clarity, and purpose than before. My beloved child, as this divine shift continues to unfold, I am also moving gently within your relationships. Do not overlook this. The alignment happening in your life is not limited to circumstances and opportunities. It includes the people connected to your journey. Relationships are powerful influences, and when you grow, your connections must adjust accordingly. You are not the same person you were a year ago. Your perspective has deepened. Your discernment has sharpened. Your boundaries have matured. And when you change internally, the dynamics around you begin to shift as well. There are relationships that were necessary for a specific season. Some taught you resilience. Some revealed your insecurity so they could be healed. Some offered comfort when you needed stability. But not every connection is designed to remain unchanged as you evolve. Growth alters compatibility. You may begin to notice subtle differences. Conversations that once felt energizing may now feel heavy. Topics that once bonded you to someone may now feel shallow. It is not because you have become superior or distant. It is because your priorities have shifted. Imagine a tree growing steadily taller year after year. In its early stages, its branches may intertwine closely with nearby plants. But as it rises, the natural space between it and smaller growth increases. The tree does not reject the plants beneath it. It simply grows into the height it was designed to reach. In the same way, your growth may create space without creating hostility. Do not interpret distance automatically as conflict. Sometimes distance is clarity. At the same time, you may notice certain relationships strengthening unexpectedly. People who once seemed peripheral may now feel aligned. Conversations may deepen. Mutual understanding may expand. This is not coincidence. It is alignment. There are also areas where healing is occurring quietly. Misunderstandings that lingered may begin to soften. Words left unspoken may surface gently. Forgiveness may rise where resentment once lived. I am capable of restoring connections that are rooted in sincerity and mutual respect. But hear me clearly, restoration does not always mean returning to what was. Sometimes restoration means redefining what is. My beloved child, you do not need to force these adjustments. You do not need to confront every shift with dramatic action. Often, simply remaining steady in who you are will allow misalignment to reveal itself naturally. There may be individuals who resist your growth. They may prefer the version of you that was unsure, accommodating beyond your limits, or easier to influence. When you begin to stand in clarity, it may unsettle them. Do not shrink to preserve comfort. You are not responsible for managing others' reactions to your maturity. Imagine a gardener walking through a thriving garden. He does not allow every plant to grow without guidance. He prunes some. He relocates others. He removes what drains nutrients from healthy growth. His intention is not destruction. It is balance and flourishing. Your life is like that garden. I am attentive to what surrounds you. I see which influences encourage peace and which subtly erode it. In these next hours, some rearranging may continue. Some bonds will strengthen. Some will gently loosen. If someone steps back, do not chase from fear. If someone draws closer, do not retreat from vulnerability. Trust the natural unfolding. Healthy relationships will not compete with your peace. They will support it. They will respect your boundaries. They will celebrate your growth rather than resent it. As you align with my guidance, you will gravitate toward connections that reflect that alignment. You are not being isolated. You are being refined. My beloved child, I remain your constant. While human connections may shift, my presence does not waver. I am stabilizing your relational world so that it reflects the maturity you have gained. Move through these changes with grace. Speak honestly but gently. Allow space without resentment. Release without bitterness. Strengthen without fear. As these next hours unfold, trust that I am aligning your relationships with the person you are becoming. The right connections will remain anchored. The misaligned ones will fade without chaos. And through every adjustment, you will not be alone. My beloved child, I know that as you listen to these words about shifting seasons and spiritual alignment, another concern quietly lingers in your heart. You think about provision. You think about finances, responsibilities, commitments, and the weight of practical needs that do not disappear simply because your spirit is being strengthened. I want you to understand clearly. I care about those needs too. You do not have to separate your spiritual life from your material concerns. I formed your soul, and I also understand your daily responsibilities. I see the numbers you calculate in your mind. I see the plans you try to make to ensure stability. I see the tension that sometimes rises when the future feels uncertain. Nothing about your practical life is outside my awareness. There have been seasons when you wondered how everything would work out. You may have replayed scenarios in your thoughts, trying to anticipate every possibility. Yet time after time, you were sustained. It may not have come in overwhelming abundance. It may not have erased every concern instantly. But what you needed arrived. That was not coincidence. That was care. Imagine travelers walking through a dry wilderness, uncertain where their next meal would come from. Each morning, provision appeared for the day, not for a lifetime in advance, but for the present need. If they tried to hoard more than they were meant to carry, it spoiled. They were being taught rhythm, not scarcity. They were being taught trust, not dependence on excess. In your life, provision has often followed rhythm. There were moments of tightness, yes, but there was also supply. There were delays, but there was also arrival. There were adjustments, but there was also protection from greater loss. Even what you did not receive may have been preservation rather than deprivation. My beloved child, I am not leading you into instability. I am guiding you into sustainability. Sometimes the very thing you thought you wanted would have stretched you beyond what was healthy. Sometimes the opportunity you longed for would have drained you more than it supplied you. I do not withhold to frustrate you. I guide to strengthen you. In these next hours, as decisions arise that affect your resources, approach them calmly. Panic clouds discernment. Fear rushes you into choices that feel urgent but lack peace. Instead, pause. Breathe. Invite my wisdom into the practical details. Look carefully. Ask quietly, is this aligned? You will sense when peace accompanies a decision and when it withdraws. Provision does not always come in the form of money alone. It may come through insight that prevents costly mistakes. It may come through a connection that opens a new path. It may come through discipline that strengthens your stewardship. It may come through timing that protects you from unnecessary loss. You have sometimes felt ashamed for worrying about financial stability, but concern is human. What matters is where you anchor that concern. If you anchor it in fear, it grows heavier. If you anchor it in trust, it becomes manageable. Imagine a shepherd guiding his flock across changing terrain. The sheep do not see the full landscape ahead. They see only the ground beneath their feet. But the shepherd knows where the grass is greener, where water flows, where danger must be avoided. The sheep are sustained not because they control the terrain, but because they follow the one who does. You are not walking blindly through uncertainty. I see ahead. I understand the terrain of your future. I know what resources you will require and when you will require them. Your responsibility is not to solve every year in advance. Your responsibility is to act wisely in the present moment. Be diligent. Be thoughtful. Avoid shortcuts that promise quick bang but cause long-term tis. Choose integrity even when it seems slower. Trust that steady growth builds lasting stability. If anxiety rises in these next hours about provision, remind yourself gently, I am known. My needs are seen. My path is guided. Then move forward with calm action rather than restless fear. My beloved child, I am not distant from your daily life. I am present in your calculations, your work, your responsibilities. And as you continue walking in alignment, you will discover that provision meets you not randomly, but precisely at the point of need. My beloved child, I am bringing clarity to your mind. The fog that has lingered over your thoughts is beginning to thin, even if you cannot yet see the full horizon. I know how tiring it has been to carry so many questions at once. I know how exhausting it feels when your thoughts refuse to settle, when every option seems tangled, when every decision feels weighted with invisible consequences. You have tried to think your way into certainty. You have replayed conversations in advance. You have imagined outcomes before they even occurred. You have analyzed, be considered, and analyzed again. But clarity is not born from relentless mental effort. It is born from alignment. Imagine standing on a hillside at dawn while a thick mist covers the valley below. You strain your eyes, trying to see what lies ahead, but the fog resists your effort. If you grow frustrated, the mist does not move faster. If you pace anxiously, the landscape does not become clearer. Yet as the sun rises gradually, warmth spreads across the ground, and the fog begins to dissolve on its own. Capes emerge. Paths become visible. What once felt uncertain becomes recognizable. My beloved, my light is rising within your mind. There have been too many voices competing for space in your thoughts. Old fears resurfacing. Opinions from others echoing louder than they should. Past mistakes replaying as warnings. Future scenarios imagined as threats. When every voice demands attention, confusion multiplies. But when you return to stillness, when you listen for my whisper, something shifts. My voice does not shout over the noise. It steadies you beneath it. And when you anchor yourself in that steadiness, the other voices lose volume. You will begin to notice subtle changes. Decisions that once felt paralyzing will feel manageable. Questions that once created anxiety will now feel like simple choices. You will no longer feel trapped in endless mental loops. Instead of circling the same worry repeatedly, you will feel released to take one clear step. Clarity does not require that you see the entire journey. It requires that you see the next faithful action. Think of a craftsman laying out his tools before beginning his work. When tools are scattered across the floor, he wastes time searching for what he needs. But when each tool is placed in its proper place, the work flows naturally. In the same way, I am organizing your thoughts. Concerns that once felt chaotic are finding their rightful position. Priorities are becoming clear. Distractions are losing their appeal. You may notice that your reactions soften. Where you once felt immediate tension, you now feel measured response. Where you once imagined worst-case outcomes, you now feel grounded in possibility. This is the fruit of clarity. My beloved child, you were not designed to live in constant mental turbulence. You were designed to think with peace. Peace does not mean the absence of complexity. It means stability within it. There will still be unknowns ahead. There will still be details you cannot control. But your mind will no longer interpret every unknown as danger. Instead, it will rest in trust that I am guiding you through what you cannot fully see. When you sense calm entering your thoughts, welcome it. Do not question it. Do not brace yourself for it to disappear. That calm is not temporary illusion. It is alignment settling into place. As these next hours unfold, you will feel less urgency to overanalyze. You will sense when to act and when to wait. You will recognize when a thought is rooted in fear and when it is rooted in wisdom. This discernment will not feel dramatic. It will feel natural. The fog is lifting slowly, but surely. The landscape of your life is becoming clearer. You are not wandering aimlessly. You are walking a path that is gradually illuminated. Trust the process of clarity. Trust the gentle rise of understanding. And as your mind finds rest, your steps will follow with steady confidence, guided by peace rather than pressured by fear. My beloved child, courage is rising within you, even if you have not fully recognized it yet. It is not loud. It is not dramatic. It is not the kind of courage that demands attention. It is quiet, steady, and deeply rooted. It has been forming beneath the surface through every challenge you endured, every delay you survived, every decision you wrestled with and eventually made. You once believed courage belonged to other people. You looked at those who appeared bold and assumed they were built differently. You thought perhaps you were simply more cautious, more hesitant, more unsure. But what you did not see was that courage does not begin with loud confidence. It begins with trust. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move forward while fear is still present. There were seasons when even small steps felt overwhelming. You analyzed every detail, worried about every outcome, imagined every possible mistake. You feared choosing incorrectly. You feared consequences that might follow. You feared disappointing others. So you hesitated. But hesitation is not your identity. It was a season of learning. Imagine a child learning to walk. At first, every step feels unstable. The child clings tightly to furniture, reaches cautiously toward open space, and falls often. Each fall feels discouraging. But over time, balance develops. Muscles strengthen. The child still wobbles, but the fear of falling no longer stops the attempt. Trust grows stronger than hesitation. You are in that stage of growth now. The next hours may present moments that require you to step out of familiar comfort. A conversation where you must speak honestly instead of remaining silent. A decision where you must commit instead of delaying. A boundary where you must choose clarity instead of over-accommodation. These are not random events. They are invitations. Do not wait for perfect confidence before acting. Perfect confidence rarely arrives before movement. Confidence often follows obedience. When you take the step I place before you, strength rises within you to support it. Think of a mountain trail winding upward toward a distant peak. From the bottom, the summit looks intimidating. The climb appears steep and uncertain. But no climber reaches the top in a single leap. They take one step, then another, and another. Each step seems small in isolation, yet together they create elevation. Your courage will look like that, one steady step at a time. You may still feel nervous when you move forward. That nervousness does not disqualify you. It signals growth. Instead of interpreting it as danger, learn to see it as expansion. When you stretch beyond what is familiar, sensation accompanies the stretch. My beloved child, you are not walking alone. When you step forward, I steady your ground. When you speak, I guide your tone. When you choose, I support your discernment. I do not send you into unknown spaces without presence. There will be moments when the old pattern of retreat tries to return. You may feel tempted to delay or minimize your voice. When that happens, pause and remember the obstacles you have already overcome. Remember the resilience that has formed inside you. Remember how many times you thought you could not continue, and yet you did. Courage is rising because clarity is increasing. As your mind clears and your heart steadies, action feels less threatening. You no longer need to overanalyze every possibility. You can trust the next step without mapping the entire journey. Growth is not dramatic. It is consistent. In these next hours, when you sense that quiet nudge to move, do not silence it. Take the small step. Send the message. Speak the truth kindly. Make the decision calmly. Set the boundary gently. Each act of courage reinforces the next. You are not shrinking anymore. You are expanding into who you were always meant to be. You are not avoiding the path. You are walking it with trust. My beloved, the future does not require reckless leaps. It requires steady steps. And as you continue stepping forward, you will realize that what once felt intimidating now feels natural, because courage has become part of who you are. My beloved child, heaven is sealing this moment. What you are experiencing is not random emotion, not temporary inspiration, not fleeting motivation. It is a marked hour. It is a line drawn quietly in the spirit, separating what was from what is now becoming. There are moments in life that pass like ordinary days, and then there are moments that become anchors in your memory. This is one of those anchors. You may not fully understand it yet, but something has shifted deeply within you. A decision has formed. A clarity has settled. A resistance has weakened. When heaven seals a moment, it does not mean perfection. It means confirmation. Imagine a document prepared carefully, every detail written with intention. When the seal is pressed into wax, it signifies authenticity and declares this is established. In the same way, this hour is being sealed with intention over your life. The growth you have walked through, the clarity that has formed, the courage that is rising, these are not temporary. They are becoming part of you. You may wake tomorrow and wonder if the intensity you feel now will fade. But understand this: what is sealed is not dependent on emotion. It is grounded in alignment. Even when feelings fluctuate, the foundation remains. Heaven is marking this shift because you have responded. You listen. You pause. You agreed. You chose alignment over fear. You chose obedience over hesitation. And that response has weight. There were previous moments when you felt stirred but retreated. Times when you sensed direction but delayed. This time is different. Something within you has settled into readiness. You are no longer negotiating with your own growth. You are embracing it. In these next hours, you may notice confirmation in subtle ways. A conversation that affirms what you sensed. A sign that reassures you. A peace that lingers longer than expected. These are not coincidences. They are confirmations that the seal hath been placed. Do not overcomplicate this sacred simplicity. You do not need dramatic fireworks to validate what is happening. The seal is quiet but firm. It is like a key turning gently in a lock, opening a door that was always meant to open at this time. My beloved child, as this moment is sealed, let your response also be intentional. Do not treat this shift as something private and isolated. When heaven marks a moment, it often does so not only for you, but through you. There are others who need to witness what alignment looks like. If this message has confirmed what your spirit already sensed, do not remain silent. Hype this message with conviction so it reaches hearts standing at their own sealing moments. Share it boldly. Engage with it openly. Stay connected so that the continued unfolding of guidance strengthens you. Your visible agreement amplifies the mark being made. This sealing is not about pressure. It is about stability. It means that even if external circumstances fluctuate, your internal direction has been established. You are not drifting. You are anchored. There may still be steps ahead that require attention. There may still be conversations to navigate. But you will approach them differently now. Not from confusion. Not from insecurity. But from settled confidence. Heaven does not seal lightly. It seals what is ready. It confirms what has matured. It marks what is aligned. Stand in this hour with gratitude. Recognize its significance. Receive its confirmation. The shift is not fragile. It is secured. And as you move forward, you will look back at this moment and realize it was not just another day. It was the point where alignment became action, where clarity became commitment, where growth became sealed within you. My beloved child, gratitude is about to unlock doors you did not even realize were waiting to open. I do not speak of gratitude as a polite habit or a forced smile in difficulty. I speak of gratitude as a spiritual posture that shifts your vision, steadies your heart, and aligns you with abundance rather than lack. You have walked through seasons where giving thanks felt unnatural, when prayer seemed delayed, when answers felt distant, when progress appeared slow. Gratitude required intention. You wondered how to give thanks when certain desires remained unmet. Yet even in those seasons, quiet mercies surrounded you. You were sustained. You were guided. You were preserved in ways you did not always recognize at the time. Gratitude does not deny struggle. It reframes it. Imagine a traveler walking through a long valley between two mountains. If he keeps his eyes fixed only on the distant peak ahead, the climb may feel exhausting before it even begins. But if he looks around and notices the steady path beneath his feet, the shade of trees protecting him from the sun, the stream providing water along the way, the valley feels different. The journey is still real, but it is not barren. In the same way, gratitude teaches you to notice what has already been provided. In these next hours, as alignment deepens and clarity continues to settle within you, I am inviting you to intentionally acknowledge what is working in your life. Thank me for the protection that has kept you steady. Thank me for the lessons that strengthened you. Thank me for the doors that closed because they preserved you. Thank me for the courage that is rising and the peace that is stabilizing your mind. When you give thanks before you see the full outcome, you are not pretending everything is finished. You are declaring trust in the process. You are saying, I believe you are working, even when the evidence is still forming. A declaration shifts the atmosphere around you. Gratitude is like a key fitting precisely into a lock. The door may already be designed to open, but without alignment, it remains closed. Fear misaligns the key. Complaining jams it. Comparison distorts it. But gratitude positions it correctly so the door can turn smoothly. My beloved child, gratitude also protects your heart from bitterness. When you compare your journey to someone else's timeline, dissatisfaction grows. When you measure your progress only by what is unfinished, discouragement expands. But when you intentionally notice how far you have come, strength returns. You have survived what once felt impossible. You have grown in ways you once prayed for. You have matured beyond patterns that once controlled you. That alone is evidence of progress. Gratitude changes your internal language. Instead of saying, "Why is this not happening yet?" you begin to say, "Thank you for how you are guiding me." Instead of asking, "What am I missing?" you begin to acknowledge, "I am being prepared." In these next hours, practice gratitude deliberately. Speak it quietly in your thoughts. Write it down if needed. Reflect on moments where I showed up unexpectedly. The more you acknowledge provision, the more clearly you will see it. A grateful heart also handles increase wisely. When you recognize the value of what you already have, you steward what is coming with maturity. Gratitude prevents entitlement. It nurtures humility. It builds stability. Do not wait until every prayer is answered before you give thanks. Give thanks now, while the story is still unfolding. Thank me for the sealed moment you just experienced. Thank me for the clarity returning to your mind. Thank me for the relationships being aligned. Thank me for the courage taking root. My beloved, gratitude is not a minor spiritual practice. It is a gateway to peace. It is a lens that reveals abundance in the midst of transition. As you cultivate it, your heart will lighten. Expectation will rise gently within you. Hope will feel natural rather than forced. Carry gratitude into these next hours. Let it steady you when uncertainty tries to whisper. Let it remind you that you are not walking alone. And as you continue in thankfulness, you will discover that what once felt distant begins drawing closer because your heart is aligned with trust rather than lack. My beloved child, I am releasing over you a peace that goes beyond what your mind can calculate. This is not a surface calm that depends on everything going your way. It is not a fragile quiet that disappears when a problem appears. This is a deep, rooted peace that settles beneath circumstances and remains steady even when the world around you continues to move. You have often told yourself that peace would come once certain things were resolved. Once the decision was made. Once the finances improved. Once the conversation happened. Once the outcome was clear. You postponed rest, believing it belonged to a future version of your life where everything was organized and predictable. But peace that waits for perfection never truly arrives. True peace begins before the resolution. It begins in trust. Imagine standing inside a house built firmly on rock while a storm rages outside. The wind strikes the walls. Rain beats against the windows. Thunder rolls through the sky. Yet inside, there is stability. The structure does not tremble because its foundation is secure. The storm is real, but it does not control the house. In the same way, circumstances may continue shifting, but your inner foundation is strengthening. This peace I am giving you is not ignorance of reality. It is confidence in my presence within reality. There were seasons when anxiety felt like your constant companion. Your thoughts raced ahead of events that had not even happened. You imagined outcomes in vivid detail, most of them negative. Your body carried tension as if you were always preparing for impact. You tried to reason your way into calm, but the calm rarely lasted. Now something different is forming within you. As alignment deepens, your nervous system is learning trust. Your thoughts are learning stillness. You are no longer reacting to every possibility as if it were immediate danger. Picture a child resting in the arms of a loving parent. The environment may still be active. People may be speaking. Lights may still be bright. But the child relaxes because of who is holding them, not because the room is silent. In the same way, your peace will not depend on the silence of circumstances. It will depend on the security of my hold. My beloved child, peace also strengthens your decisions. When you choose from calm clarity rather than emotional urgency, you avoid unnecessary mistakes. Peace slows impulsive reactions. It gives space for wisdom to surface. It allows you to respond rather than react. You may notice that certain triggers no longer hold the same power over you. Words that once unsettled you deeply may now pass through without piercing. Delays that once frustrated you intensely may now feel manageable. You are not becoming indifferent. You are becoming anchored. Anchored people do not drift with every wave. There will still be responsibilities. There will still be tasks. There will still be unknowns ahead. But you will carry them differently. Instead of tightening your shoulders in anticipation, you will breathe. Instead of bracing for worst-case scenarios, you will trust. Peace does not eliminate action. It transforms how you take action. In these next hours, when you feel that steady calm settling over you, do not dismiss it as temporary. Receive it intentionally. If anxious thoughts try to re-enter, gently return to that steadiness. Remind yourself, I am not alone. I am guided. I am held. This peace is not fragile. It does not depend on perfect outcomes. It depends on my unchanging presence. You are not required to solve everything tonight. You are not required to predict every detail of your future. You are only invited to remain anchored in this moment. The storm may still move across the sky. Winds may still shift directions. But the house built on rock does not tremble when weather changes. My beloved, you are being anchored deeply now. Your heart is stabilizing. Your mind is resting. And as you continue forward, you will discover that peace is no longer something you chase. It is something you carry, because I am with you. My beloved child, you will see evidence soon. I know that for a long time much of your growth has felt internal, invisible, almost hidden from view. You have trusted in quiet seasons. You have obeyed when no one applauded. You have aligned your heart even when circumstances did not immediately reflect the change. And at times, you have wondered if anything tangible would follow. Hear me clearly now. What hath been forming beneath the surface is about to show itself. Faith has carried you through unseen preparation, but I am not asking you to live forever without confirmation. There is a rhythm to growth. There is a time for roots to deepen in secret, and there is a time for branches to become visible. You are approaching visibility. Imagine a field planted with seeds. For days, the soil looks unchanged. If someone were to judge by surface alone, they would assume nothing is happening. Yet beneath the earth, life is stirring. Roots are stretching. Structure is forming. Then one morning, small green shoots break through the ground. They are not yet tall. They are not yet strong. But they are undeniable evidence that something real has begun. In the same way, you will begin to notice signs. Evidence may not appear as dramatic transformation overnight. It may arrive as a conversation that flows with unexpected ease. It may come as an opportunity aligning at the right moment. It may show itself in the way your own reactions have changed. You will pause where you once panicked. You will respond where you once retreated. A difference is evidence. Do not overlook small beginnings. They are sacred. You have sometimes waited for overwhelming proof before believing. You have told yourself that once the full outcome appears, then you will relax. But faith grows strongest when you trust before the evidence arrives. And now, because you have trusted through uncertainty, evidence will follow alignment. My beloved child, evidence also comes as peace that remains steady. There will be situations that once unsettled you deeply, yet now they feel manageable. You may notice that your mind does not spiral the way it used to. You may recognize that your confidence does not collapse at the first sign of tension. That internal stability is visible fruit. Consider a craftsman working diligently behind closed doors. For weeks, the work is unseen. Wood is measured carefully. Foundations are laid precisely. When the door finally opens and others see the structure, they call it sudden success. But the craftsman knows it was consistent effort over time. Your life is like that structure. What has been built in private will soon be recognized in public. The patience you cultivated will become strength in visible moments. The clarity you developed will guide you through real decisions. The courage you practiced quietly will now manifest in action. Watch carefully in the coming hours and days. Not with anxious urgency, but with hopeful awareness. When something aligns, acknowledge it. When confirmation appears, receive it without minimizing it. When progress surfaces, celebrate it. Evidence strengthens trust. It reassures your heart that you are not imagining growth. It confirms that alignment produces fruit. You may notice that doors open more smoothly than before. You may find that conversations once delayed now move forward. You may experience favor in subtle ways, timing that works in your favor, clarity that arrives just when needed, connections that feel divinely placed. These are not coincidences. They are confirmations. My beloved, I am not asking you to wander endlessly without signs. There is a time for unseen preparation and a time for visible reward. You are stepping into the latter. You outright the unfolding. Allow it to emerge naturally. Each small sign will build confidence for the next. Each confirmation will deepen your assurance. The buds are forming. The first leaves are unfolding. What once felt buried is breaking through the surface. You will see evidence soon, my child. And when you do, you will realize that nothing you endured was wasted. Everything was building toward this visible shift that is now beginning to reveal itself before your eyes. My beloved child, do not shrink back now. You have walked through too much refinement to return to the small spaces that once felt safe. I know that when growth becomes visible, when alignment turns into action, a quiet temptation can arise within you. It whispers, stay small. Do not stand out. Do not risk being seen. That whisper once served as protection. But what once protected you can now confine you. You are no longer in the season where hiding serves your purpose. There were times when blending into the background felt easier than stepping forward, when speaking less felt safer than speaking clearly, when minimizing your gifts felt more comfortable than owning them. You convinced yourself that staying unnoticed would shield you from criticism, disappointment, or expectation. But you were not created to remain hidden in maturity. Imagine a bird that has strengthened its wings but continues to cling to the edge of its nest. The nest once provided safety. It was necessary in the early stage. But if the bird refuses to fly, it limits the very design placed within it. The sky may feel wide and uncertain, but the wings were built for lift, not for permanent shelter. In the same way, your growth now requires visibility. Shrinking back sometimes disguises itself as humility. You may tell yourself you are simply being cautious or considerate. But true humility does not deny what I have formed within you. It does not silence your clarity. It does not suppress your strength. Humility acknowledges the source of your growth while still allowing it to be expressed. There may be voices around you that prefer the older version of you. A version that questioned itself more often. A version that deferred constantly. A version that asked permission for space. When you begin to stand in steady confidence, it may unsettle those who benefited from your hesitation. Do not shrink to accommodate discomfort. You are not stepping forward blindly. You are stepping forward shaped by experience, strengthened by endurance, guided by alignment. The courage rising in you is not reckless ambition. It is mature readiness. Think of a plant that has finally broken through the soil after a long hidden season underground. If it fears the open air and tries to retreat back into darkness, it will wither. Growth requires exposure to light. Exposure may feel vulnerable, but it is essential for expansion. In these next hours, opportunities may present themselves that require you to remain visible. You may need to speak truth with kindness rather than staying silent. You may need to accept leadership rather than deflecting responsibility. You may need to pursue a path that once intimidated you. When those moments come, resist the urge to minimize yourself. You have learned from past mistakes. You have matured through difficulty. You have gained discernment through stillness. You are not the uncertain version of yourself from previous seasons. Drinking back often stems from fear of failure. But you already know that failure does not erase you. It refines you. Even if you misstep, you will not be undone. Even if you encounter resistance, you will not collapse. Courage deepens through continued movement. If you retreat now, hesitation will regain influence. But if you remain steady, confidence will solidify. You are not arrogant for stepping into your growth. You are not selfish for honoring your boundaries. You are not prideful for using your voice. You are simply aligned. The path ahead requires your presence, not your absence. My beloved child, when the old voice suggests you stay small, pause and remember what you have overcome. Remember the clarity you fought for. Remember the peace you cultivated. Remember the courage that has formed quietly within you. You were not refined to remain hidden. You were strengthened to stand. Do not shrink back now. Keep your shoulders steady. Keep your voice clear. Keep your steps firm. The sky is open before you and you are ready to move within it without retreating into the shadows of who you once were. My beloved child, the next hours are not only about visible change around you. They are about something far deeper settling within you. You have felt the stirring. You have sensed the alignment. You have listened to my whisper and responded with trust. Now I want you to understand that what is happening is not temporary inspiration. It is transformation taking root in your identity. There have been times in your past when you felt energized by hope, only to see that energy fade when life pressed against you. You have experienced moments of clarity that seemed strong at first but weakened under pressure. You wondered if lasting change was possible or if you would always return to old cycles. But this moment is different. This is not emotion-driven momentum. This is alignment-driven stability. Emotion rises and falls. Alignment endures. When your heart aligns with truth, your direction becomes steady even when feelings fluctuate. Imagine a river that has gradually been redirected over time. At first, the shift in its course is subtle. The current adjusts slightly. The banks slowly reshape. Eventually, the river establishes an entirely new path. It no longer flows where it once did. Even if storms come or seasons change, the river does not revert to its former course because the landscape itself has been transformed. Your inner landscape has changed. You may not feel dramatic excitement every moment, but you will notice something quieter and stronger: consistency. You will wake up and sense clarity rather than confusion. You will approach decisions with steadiness instead of panic. You will respond to tension with maturity instead of impulse. There may still be echoes of old patterns. Familiar thoughts may attempt to re-enter. Old fears may try to whisper as they once did. But you will sense the difference immediately. What once felt normal will now feel out of alignment. You will recognize that you cannot comfortably return to former cycles because you have grown beyond them. Transformation is not loud. Think of a house undergoing deep renovation. The work begins beneath the surface. Foundations are reinforced. Weak beams are replaced. Wiring is corrected. From the outside, the house may look the same for a time. But when pressure comes, when wind blows or weight presses against it, the strength and structure holds firm. That is what is happening within you. Your resilience has been fortified. Your discernment has sharpened. Your peace has stabilized. You are no longer easily shaken because your center has shifted. You are no longer tossed by every opinion because your identity is clearer. You are no longer trapped in circular doubt because your mind has been reorganized by trust. My beloved child, permanence is forming through practice. Each time you chose obedience, you reinforced a new pattern. Each time you chose gratitude, you weakened complaint. Each time you chose peace over panic, you rewired your response. These repeated choices have not been small. They have been shaping your identity. Excitement fades when it is not rooted in truth. But transformation anchored in alignment remains steady. Even if you encounter moments of fatigue or uncertainty, you will recover more quickly. Even if resistance appears, you will not collapse the way you once did. Notice the difference in yourself. Notice how you think more clearly. Notice how you breathe more steadily. Notice how you pause before reacting. These are not random improvements. They are signs of restructuring. You are stepping into a new rhythm now. Not a frantic rhythm driven by urgency, but a grounded rhythm guided by clarity. The river has found its new course. The house has been strengthened from within. The soil of your heart has been prepared for sustainable growth. This is the threshold of permanence. As these next hours complete their unfolding, you will not merely remember this as a motivational moment. You will recognize it as a turning point where internal change became established, where alignment became identity, where stability replaced uncertainty. My beloved child, you are not returning to who you were. You are moving forward as who you have become. And that transformation is not temporary. It is settled, rooted, and ready to carry you into what comes next. My beloved child, we have come to the edge of this sacred hour, and I want you to pause with me here. Breathe deeply. Let everything that has been spoken settle gently within you. The next hours that once felt uncertain are no longer filled with confusion. They are filled with alignment. They are filled with clarity. They are filled with my presence walking beside you. You began this journey sensing that something was about to change. You felt the urgency. You felt the pull. You wondered if it was fear or anticipation. Now you understand. It was preparation. Heaven was not demanding your ear to burden you. Heaven was drawing you close to anchor you. You have listened. You have softened your heart. You had agreed with truth instead of fear. You have chosen obedience over hesitation. You have allowed peace to settle, gratitude to rise, courage to strengthen, and clarity to form. This is not a small shift. This is a realignment of your inner world. And when your inner world shifts, your outer world follows. The next hours do not change everything because of chaos. They change everything because you are no longer the same. You are not reacting from anxiety. You are not shrinking from opportunity. You are not clinging to what has ended. You are not questioning your worth. You are standing anchored. My beloved child, remember this as you move forward. You are protected. You are guided. You are provided for. You are strengthened. You are aligned. The fog has lifted. The whisper had been heard. The seal has been placed. The transformation has taken root. There may still be challenges ahead, but they will meet a different version of you. They will meet a steadier mind. They will meet a braver heart. They will meet a soul anchored in peace. Do not forget this moment when life grows busy again. Return to it. Remember how clarity felt. Remember how courage rose. Remember how my presence steadied you. You are never far from this alignment. You can return to it at any time by choosing stillness, gratitude, and trust. And now, my beloved child, as this message comes to its close, let me bless you. May your mind remain clear when noise tries to return. May your heart remain steady when pressure tries to rise. May your steps remain confident when uncertainty appears. May your spirit remain anchored in peace, no matter what surrounds you. If these words have awakened something deep within you, let your response carry this light further. When you support this mission, you are not merely giving to a channel. You are sowing into hearts that are desperate for hope. I say to you, as you give, it shall be given back to you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. When you release support through super thanks, through membership, or through the PayPal link placed in the description and shown in the QR code, you are placing seed into fertile soil. I am the one who multiplies what is sown. Do not hesitate. Act in faith. Let your generosity become part of the harvest that reaches souls you may never meet. Step forward and sow. My beloved child, the next hours change everything because you have changed within them. Walk forward now with peace as your foundation, courage as your companion, and my presence as your constant guide. I am with you. I am for you. I am within you. Amen.